Speaking of Billy Madison, because I know it's like a giant fan favorite, and people are probably sitting there like, dude, you got to ask about Billy Madison. But what was that experience like? Because it's such a beloved movie.
Well, no, it wasn't fun.
No, okay.
It wasn't fun at all.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I'm your host, Lauren Lepre. Thanks for taking your time and checking out this episode. Please, at this time, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And we're back in the film world. We definitely got an amazing guest for you this week. This guy, or could we say that guy, has been in every movie in all walks of life. This guy's in tons of films that we know and TV series. I know he probably has more credits than this, but according to IMDb, he has 191 acting credits. I'm sure there's some up there that he did previously to put him over the 200 level. But yeah, safe to say this guy is well-rounded, a veteran in TV and film. He's been on shows such as ER, Barry, The Sarah Silverman Show, Friends, Ellen, and heavyweight movies we all love like Billy Madison and great television series Breaking Bad. So with that long intro, Larry Hankin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Lauren.
Absolutely.
Glad to be anywhere, as they say.
Awesome. So cool to have you on. I definitely see some artwork in the background. I definitely would love to chat with you about your artwork, but I know your main focus right now is your book called That Guy. So flash that book.
Guy, there it is. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I just wrote I didn't just write a book. I wrote a book 2 years ago, and it's taken 2 years to get it to the public. It took about 6 months to write and about 1.5 years to try and get it out to the public, but it made it. It's on Amazon.com right now.
So everybody right now wants to check you out could go right to Amazon.com and have it in their hands probably within hours, right?
I guess.
Amazon's so fast. I always say that. You can order toilet paper to be at your house in 2.5 hours anymore. But yeah. This book is covering your entire life story, including your TV and film.
Well, what it is, what I started out to do was I'm a stand-up comedian. That's okay. What I am. That's what I was born to do. And so I was a stand-up comedian when I graduated college. I went to college just to please my parents, but I then went to Greenwich Village with my buddy at Syracuse, Carl Gottlieb, who wrote Jaws. He's written a lot of movies. So we went to Greenwich Village because he wanted to be a writer, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a painter. You know, that's my paintings. I want to be a painter. And instead, he got a job writing, and I got a job bussing bars at 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. That was 5 years of college.
Got to ask around this time where are you? Is this LA? Is this New York?
60? No, I was in Greenwich Village. I was living in Far Rockaway, Long Island. That was where I grew up. Went to college at Syracuse for industrial design because my parents wanted me to have a career. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, so okay, fine. So I went, but as soon as I got there, I was there for about a year. And then it turned out that I was looking at industrial design. That's what got my eye, design. And my parents saw industrial design. So they saw the industrial, I saw the design. So we both sent me to college for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
What I got there was just engineering and bullshit. If you can call engineering bullshit, I mean, it's not, but to me it was.
Gotcha.
So when I graduated, I knew that's not where I was going to go. So I asked Carl where he was going, and he said he's going to Greenwich Village. And I said, okay, let's do that. It sounds more interesting. So I was supposed to go to Detroit to design cars for
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I just decided, no, I want to bust bars from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. I'd rather do that. That sounds more intriguing. So that's what I did. But I had my evenings free until 2 a.m. I had to wait around.
So you're doing that at this time, and then you're
So I
are
was
you already
busting
are you
bars, but I had, but we were in Greenwich Village, and he was working, and so I went to coffee houses, and there were stand-up comedians, and I thought, well, I'm a funny guy, I can do that. So I started to do these open mic nights, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and I finally worked up a routine, and I was within 6 months I was opening for Woody Allen, so that was cool.
Wow.
I was getting a lot of money, and I was, playing a lot of nightclubs, and I did the
Can
Playboy.
I ask how that happened? How did you get involved with Woody Allen? Like, did you meet
I,
him?
I, I didn't get involved with Woody. I got involved with his manager, who came to an open mic night. And when I came off the stage, this gentleman came up to me, and that gray-haired man with a suit in Greenwich Village. That was kind of strange. Everybody else was a hippie or a father of a hippie looking for their son, or daughter. So he said, "You got a manager?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, how would you like one?" And I remember this because I think this is in the book, but I remember this because the reason when I was in Greenwich Village, which is in the 60s, the early 60s, everybody who became famous in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and now was there. And I'm talking about Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan, Peter, Paul, and Mary. I could just go on and on. I mean, just everybody who was famous 10 years from then.
So that was the hotbed. That was the hotbed, the place to be.
That was basically the way I looked at it was either like Montmartre in the 1890s in France, in Paris, when all the painters were there, Picasso and Rouault and all those guys. I guess I was picturing Montmartre the same as Greenwich Village, but 1960, 1890s. Or the vaudeville circuit. In other words, you went on the vaudeville. Well, everybody was in the village, and the vaudeville circuit was the coffee houses. I mean, there was about 100 coffee houses in Greenwich Village in the 60s. And you just went from coffee house so you could, any stand-up comedian or folk singer, that was all there was. No comedians. There wasn't very many women comedians. But so what you could do, there were so many coffee houses and so many 3-minute, 5-minute open mic nights that you could do 10 shows a night just by going, if you could time it right, on all the coffee house sheets, and then starting for 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, and just go around. So you could do maybe, 30, 40 shows a week. So that's
beautiful, though, because you're totally perfecting your craft, doing the same
you
thing.
Bet, man. There's no other way. I mean, it was a gift. Yeah. So you could do, so by the time 6 months was around, I had honed some really cool stuff. And who walks in? But how would you like a manager? So the point I'm saying is that the people who were there, who became famous later on, they weren't there to become famous or to make a lot of money. You were in Greenwich Village doing open mic nights and opening for, other people, was to get representation, because you weren't going to get out of Greenwich Village unless you had representation. You couldn't book a job yourself in Iowa. You needed a manager to do that. So when this guy said, "Do you have, how would you like a manager?" I went, "Whoa, that's like a gold ring in Greenwich Village."
Drafted, as they would say in sports. They drafted you finally.
I got drafted, and so that night when I was sitting around the table, at the bar with the other 3-minute, comedians, we were just talking, and they said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, I got representation." And everybody went, "Whoa, man, you got," I mean, that was like being booked on, you know, the Tonight Show or something.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. So, you know, then it happened to be, lucky me, it happened to be Woody Allen's manager who said that to me, you know. So he started booking me with Woody. I opened for Woody for, you know, for a couple of months until, and here's the trick, is you start to see that Woody Allen's, or I started to see, and all comedians, stand-up comedians find this out, Woody's audience wasn't my audience. And I started to get into Richie Pryor, George Carlin, Lenny Bruce, you know.
The real icons.
Critical thinking comedy. You know, intelligent stuff.
Well, look at what Lenny Bruce really represented to the entire world. He's the guy that took the bullets for all of us to be able to say F the government, F religion, and all that. Because
I had seen him. Yeah. When in the '60s, he was still able to do his work.
Yeah,
and the police.
You were there for the big pushback at him, though, because he was. They tried to put him down like hard.
Well, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Finally.
Yeah.
They put him. Well, they put him down very hard. So I was starting to get into his territory and Carlin's territory and Pryor. The difference was Lenny tried to fight it, and he didn't have enough money to do that. And he was starting to get into really heavy drug stuff. I mean, drugs killed him, but what drove him to drugs was the cops. So, you know, it's equally shared responsibility. And I started to be pulled off the stage by the police also. And so that's when I called my manager, Jack Rollins. I said, "Hey, Jack, they're not pulling Woody off the stage. They're pulling me off the stage for what I'm saying. And I can't handle that. I mean, I'm not, I thought, you know, I was just being a funny guy, and all of a sudden, and I don't have a lawyer or anything. So what should I do? You know, this is not fun anymore. I was having fun making people laugh, and cops don't think I'm funny." So he said, "Join Second City." So that's how I became an actor. I joined Second City, California, and then Hollywood. So that's how I got into the business.
When you're at Second City, Cass, who was there? Was that like when Bill Murray was there and Belushi?
Oh, way before Bill. Way before those guys. This was Valerie Harper, Alan Arkin, Severin Darden. These were the heavyweights. I mean, Nichols and May had just left about a year before I got there. So I was in a transition period of the old school to the new school, which was, you know, those guys.
How was Valerie Harper?
Well, they were all funny, man. They were pros. They were the ones who started the whole thing. I mean, Mike Nichols and Elaine May, Severin Darden, Alan Arkin, those are the people who started Second City, and Paul Sills was their director, and he and his mom, Viola Spolin, who I studied with. To join Second City, you had to go to school. You had to go to Viola's class. Whether or not, I mean, even, all the other actors who were on the stage, like Valerie Harper and all, they had to go to her school too. I mean, she held classes, you know. So everybody had to go to Paul Sills' mom's class, even though we hated it. I mean, we were like ruffians. We were, you know, street kids. We didn't know, you know, school, classes. Yeah. You got up there and you made people laugh, or you didn't, and you got booed off the stage. Yeah. It's very, very simple learning process. But you know,
like, what are they teaching you in class? Are they like kind of run through history of people that were previously funny? Because
basically, you did scenes. Basically, you say, well, you know, okay, Lauren and Larry get up on the stage there, and I'll give you, okay, Lauren, you're a doctor, and Larry, you're a Boy Scout. Okay, and where are you? Okay, you're on a bus. And then we have to make a scene with that. Now, why you're going to school is what they teach you is very simple. I can give you
Please.
6 months of classes in 3 words. Well, actually, I think 4 words. Listen and don't argue.
Okay.
That's it. If you can do that on stage in front of an audience, you'll be famous and funny. I mean, that's a guarantee. But that's very hard to do when you're in front of an audience. You want to, as we called it, going for your chicken. And what your chicken means is either the old comedy, clown comedies, the rubber chicken, hitting you with a rubber chicken. You were doing your chicken, or you dropped your pants and crossed your eyes. Funny, stupid, funny things. Adam Sandler humor.
Gotcha.
I mean, so that's what you go to if you can't think of anything funny and you're improvising. You do stupid, childish poop jokes, to keep it going. But no, that's not improvising. Improvising is really like acting. I mean, like you go into acting school. I mean, you have to learn. There's a process. So we all learned it, and we did it, and we were very funny. And, Alan Arkin and Valerie Harper and Barbara Harris, who is amazing. I improvised with Barbara Harris. I mean, there were some people like Severin Darden and Barbara Harris who, when you got on stage in front of an audience, complete relaxation. You just felt safe with Barbara or Severin. I mean, you didn't have to say anything. You didn't have to do anything. Okay. Just, if they ask you a question, answer it. That's all. And they were gales of laughter. It was amazing. But that was Vioola's teaching.
So while you're here at Second City, this is what launched you into filming, right?
Well, yeah, 5 of us broke off, went to San Francisco and opened our own Second City. We called it The Committee. But it was so close to Hollywood that they would come up and hire us. So we were in a hit show. We were funny as The Committee. And we didn't have to audition. They would see us in a hit show and say, come on down to Hollywood. And we do day gigs or a week gig. But we always had a go-to. If there was no jobs in Hollywood, we always went back to The Committee and we were fine. So we didn't have to worry. And then finally, you were paid enough money to stay down there.
Gotcha. And the business obviously was way different back then because also, I mean, Hollywood's obviously changed too, but in television, you only had 3 networks. And today we've got hundreds, maybe 1,000 by now that you don't know of. So was there a lot of just give me the brief rundown was like, if you worked for NBC as, for example, were they was CBS and ABC kind of looking at you like, all right, we'll remember that? Or is it they couldn't really do that? They needed actors everywhere.
No, I mean, it was just basically a ton of one-offs. I mean, you because we didn't live down there. So none of us had any agents. And if we did go down there to get representation, but as an actor, not as a stand-up comedian. So if you went down to Hollywood, and some of us did, you take a week off. Improv theater is very easy because it's improv. There's nothing written. So you could leave and somebody else would take your place and they would just improvise something different. So when you came back, if you stayed away for like a week down there looking for work, if you came back, your scene was all changed. Sometimes you wouldn't even get your scene back. You said, no, well, Larry's doing it better than you. He's getting a laugh, so you improvise a different one, or you could try to take it back from him. You'd say, well, hey, Lauren, thank you very much. I'm back. And now you had to re-improvise because when Lauren changes the words, your partner has to change his answers. So if I replace Lauren, then that means that the partner of Lauren had to change it. I mean, it was constant. It was great. I mean, in that way, if you loved working that way, because you were always on your toes, man. It was always changing, So, or you would get laughs and you would try to make it even funnier. You would make it better.
So, and also sometimes when you're on stage, you find yourself in, I got to make a decision now, and I might say something that maybe the audience isn't ready for. So I know we were kind of previously talking before the show, but I know you have something about when you were on stage the day John F. Kennedy died.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I came out. So one of the improv things that we did was we did an on the spot. It was called Man in the Street. So it was an on the spot thing where we got actual suggestions from the audience, which mainly the whole show is about that, but we do people scenes. But for the Man in the Street scene, we would take specifically not characters, but headlines. That's so it became a daily thing. It changed from day to day as the headlines changed. So I came out. Now Kennedy had been shot. I think it was the day before, and now it comes clear to me. I'm reading a book right now on how to write a memoir, because basically my book is a memoir. So I wrote a memoir. Now I'm reading how to write one. I've already done it. It's out. But now because I want to write another one. So it says everything in the book was not what we were doing because we didn't know about it. So what I would do is I'd come out on the stage and I'd say, it's me, it's Larry, and I'd say, give us a headline. And Kennedy had been shot, assassinated, murdered 2 days before. I remember now clearly. It was 2 days before. So that night we closed because everything closed. Everything stopped that day. It was like time stood still. Okay, so no show that night. The next night we thought, no, let's not do a show just because still people are not over the shock. I mean,
we're definitely jumping here. We're at a different time now where the last 20 years, I don't think people, half the country wouldn't care. President.
Right.
This is when we cared about our presidents to a T. Like this was tragic to all of us. The president of the United States has been assassinated, and now you're on stage.
Big deal. Now nothing.
Yeah. So I'm getting ready for this story.
I've never realized it, but you're right. That's right. Today, if the president got shot, yeah. Oh wow, my God. What time are you going to dinner?
Yeah. Give me my coffee. I'm going to keep going. Yeah. So, but go on. So
So we were in San Francisco, and the United States was in a state of shock. So we closed down for 2 nights, the day of, and the next night. So now the third night we opened up, and we still had a crowd. He thought maybe nobody would even come. That's how shocked the United States was. But we opened up, and we had a fairly good crowd. I guess people came to forget, let's go to a movie or just get it out of our heads. Let's go laugh. So we had a pretty good crowd. And I come out on stage. Now we're going to take headlines. And we did this every night. And I came out and I said, okay, Man on the Street. Well, give us a headline. And now the audience was, we say, give us a character, give us a place. So that's how we did our show. And they were yelling up stuff. Okay, so now I come out and I say, now, no characters, no places. Give us a contemporary headline in the news today. Or, contemporary headline. And nobody said anything. The audience just shut up, man, which blew my mind. I'm on the stage all alone. Everybody's backstage listening, to what the headline is going to be so they can get their juices going. And they hear silence. So because it's improv, man, and I have instructions that I can say anything I want. We all can. I mean, you don't think on stage. If you're thinking on stage, you're dead. Yep. It ain't going to be funny. You have to go on instinct, and you're teaching about no arguments. Listen to okay. So I'm listening and nothing. So I start to rant at the audience. I mean, seriously, it was not a put on, or I wasn't trying to get jokes. I just got angry at them for being stupid and hesitant. So I said, what's the matter with you people? And I start yelling at them. I said, what's the matter with you people? Haven't you read any newspapers in the last 3 days? The president got shot 2 days ago, and you don't know any headlines? I mean, I start ranting at them. What's the matter with you people? You came here and you don't know? This is, a contemporary show. and everybody froze. So somebody yelled, "Pope elopes." So now that's generally funny because a lot of people yelled that up throughout our, months and months of being on stage. That was a common ha-ha from the audience. Pope elopes or something else like that. But we used to get Pope elopes. So that night I got Pope elopes and I say, Pope elopes? What about President got shot? What about that headline? And the audience like that, and I say, so somebody yelled out something like that. I mean, something safe, but I can't remember the rest of it. It all was a blur. Okay, so we did the thing. What happens is, I held a screwdriver up, as a microphone, and I go, hey, blah, 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 blah. And then what the thing is that the people come out, there's 5 of us. So I'm the 5th. So 4 people come out as characters and they talk about the headline, whether they're for it or against it. So it was very funny. It worked. Okay. So they came out, they did the show, and the laughter was the audience was still kind of in shock. First of all, about the president being shot, and second of all, about this actor on stage hollering at them for not calling up the truth.
For going there, if you want to say too soon, yeah, that was too soon. Yeah,
too soon. Exactly. Yeah. So when I got off the stage, and then the curtain comes down, they got their laughs. I mean, okay, we're professionals. Okay. So the lights come out, go on to the next scene. Everything's fine. The show goes on. They forgot about me. Okay. But when backstage, the actors who weren't on stage doing the scene were really shouting at me, man. They just wanted me to be fired. What the fuck did you do, man? You fucked up the show. I mean, you brought the audience down, man. We had to work our asses off to get them back. Don't you ever do that again. And thank God, the director, Alan Meyerson, who is, this was his show, man. Him and his wife built this theater. He came and he says, hey, this is a political social theater. And Larry was right on. And you people are just, wimps.
Yeah.
The audience. No, the audience was wrong, not Larry. And you people are full of shit. I mean, he just laced into them. I thought it was so cool.
Hell yeah.
But see, that's why the cops were pulling me off the stage when I was a stand-up comedian. I would just go for it. Because I have no, so,
you just brought up Lenny Bruce a little while back, and Carlin and Pryor. With your act and you matching them, basically, you're on par with their level. Did you actually get to be around them or work with them at all?
Well, no, but I knew them and they knew of me because when we were a stand-up comedian, when I was a stand-up comedian and they were a stand-up comedian, and they were just getting known. I mean, Bob Dylan was just getting known, and Richie Pryor and George Carlin. Lenny Bruce was just about to die of an overdose around that time, the early 60s. So they were just coming up, and Pryor was being pulled off the stage. Carlin was definitely being pulled off the stage. And I was starting to get pulled off the stage, and Lenny Bruce was being harassed. I saw Lenny throughout his career. In other words, when I started in comedy in 1960, exactly, 1960, Lenny was playing, I don't know, some nightclub, not a coffee house, a nightclub in Greenwich Village. And I went to see him. And I thought, holy cow, this guy in a suit and a tie playing a white jazz club was being pulled off the stage and harassed by police for doing the same stuff that we in Greenwich Village, who are hippies and doing pot humor, but talking about politics too, we were being pulled off the stage for. In other words, Lenny was doing what we were doing. Dressed totally different to a totally different white crowd, an uptown crowd. We were doing it to a college crowd and to a high school crowd. And Lenny was doing it to jazz aficionados, man. You know, but it was the same material I saw, but nobody else saw it. The cops didn't see it.
I guess it's because he was on a bigger level, so they looked at, you know, you're offending more.
Yeah, and he was doing nightclubs, and we were doing coffee houses, and then we started, and then Pryor and Carlin started to do nightclubs, and I was doing the Playboy Club circuit right about then, and then Lenny was starting to fall out of hotel windows and with drugs and stuff, and then so I did. When he was clean, I saw him in Greenwich Village. When he was clean, he was just a young man who was really funny, but naturally funny. I mean, he was a natural storyteller. I mean, he's one of the ones, man.
Was Red Fox and Rodney Dangerfield kind of right in this mix too?
They hadn't come around yet. They were unknown and unknown to me at that, but they were working.
Okay.
And so. That's when I started to be pulled off the stage, and then Lenny died, and that was like the nexus of the transition. The transition was over.
Yeah,
you know, he died, and Carlin and Pryor and people like me. There were other comedians like me who were in that gang, but they survived. Carlin and Pryor were the new ones, and then everybody forgot about Lenny. But Lenny was like Pryor. Lenny was a white Pryor, but he was.
It's crazy because you lived through that, but it's so weird with history how a lot of the youth today, even I'm talking like even 30 people up to 30, the age 30 to 40, they don't even know who Lenny Bruce is. If I would drop that name,
somebody yesterday, they didn't know who he was,
and I just feel like Lenny ate all the bullets. He was basically the Jesus Christ for every kid that could tell his mom to F off, tell the teacher to F off, and survive. Because Lenny did all that before all of us when you couldn't do that.
But the thing was that but see, here's the thing that nobody understood. And I've seen him all through his career. I saw his last performance before he died, right before he died. I saw his last, and he was awful. I mean, he was just.
The drugs were just too, yeah.
The drugs. I mean, to see, you know, okay. But anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. But I mean, it's just
over that era and all that. And I think it is
transition. Yes, he took the bullets. We were just off of what you said. He took the bullets, and I saw finally he was just bleeding to death.
Yeah,
on the stage. But he came. I wrote about it. It's in the book. I wrote about it that I called him a Don Quixote, just trying on a stage. He was on a stage and it was being filmed. It is a documentary of his last performance, and I was there. And I said he was Don Quixote with like a lawyer trying to tell him that, no, I'm not crazy. But see, he was telling the truth, man, and he still. This is my point. That everybody talks about Lenny because he was the first, and he was funny, and he was into drugs, and he died of an overdose. That's the story of Lenny Bruce. But no, his fame, what we should remember him for, not the drugs, but the fact that, and not being funny, because he was hysterically funny. No, he was intelligent.
Yes.
The crap that he was saying on stage wasn't crap, man. It was intelligent, and he was a satirist, and he was smart and intelligent.
He was just a victim of his time. He was a victim of his time. Like, the world just wasn't ready for a guy like him yet. Where today, if you were to put Lenny Bruce's material on a Netflix or a Comedy Central, we've heard that a million times over again. He was just the first to do it, you know, and take the bullets.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the only other one who got through, there's only two people who ever got through it. And that was Moms Mabley and Red Fox. I mean, because they were doing that, his humor too, but they were doing the Moms Mabley and Red Fox who were on the black circuit, you know, the Chitlin circuit and the Southern circuit. So we could talk like that because it was the blues. Yeah, I mean, basically Lenny was talking the blues.
I think Red Fox is highly doesn't get the credit that he should.
Yeah, because he went to television and he had to clean it up. But
I think Pryor kind of. I think Pryor gets more of the credit through the black community for breaking that, but I think Red Fox was right there too. I just don't think he gets enough credit.
Yeah. Do you ever hear of Belle Barth?
No.
No. Well, her records, the old the records. They were all on records, not on television or radio. They were all on records. But Belle Barth was a white. She was doing hooker humor. I don't know.
Oh man, yeah.
Hooker, but she was doing. She just was doing that the sex jokes that kind of cut men apart. She just, but she was telling it like it is. That's the point. They were pulling you off the stage if you told it like it was, like it is, like they do now. But different. Anyway, that's how I got into show business, but a lot of the stuff we've been talking about that's in the book. Some of it isn't, some of it is, but that's what I wrote about. My life in show business, and through show business, through stand-up, through improv, to Hollywood and television and movies. Just kind of like not too much about my personal life, although every once in a while I show what was going on and then go back to show business.
I think it's the book's called That Guy, and I suggest everybody listen to this right now. Definitely check it out. I love hearing.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, and I mean it's true. I call it a true comic show business memoir. It's just,
does the book have anything particularly? And I definitely jumping in this area, but on Billy Madison and your era with that.
Oh yeah, no. Basically, the way I set it up, the way the book is set up is, I took. You said I had 191.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think now it's 202.
Okay.
It's the latest. I don't follow me, but I get this from podcasters. They tell me, "Oh, Larry," when they introduce me, they say how many shows I've done.
Yeah.
And I get different, but they all are around 191 to 202.
As of yesterday, it was 191. Of course, I'm going to do a quick, double check on everything to make sure. I'm not going to be able to get your entire career into one podcast, but yeah. But speaking of Billy Madison, because I know it's like a giant fan favorite, and people are probably sitting there like, dude, you got to ask about Billy Madison. But what was that experience like? Because it's such a beloved movie.
Well, no, it wasn't fun.
No, okay.
It wasn't fun at all. First of all, they fired my friend who was the first director on it. Now, when they say they, Adam Sandler and the producer fired my friend. I won't say who. And and then I was worried that I was going to get fired because I didn't like Adam Sandler. First of all, for firing my friend, and second of all, he wanted me to do stuff that I didn't want to do. I mean, I was an actor and he's telling me what to do. And as an actor, you don't tell an actor what to do. You help an actor do what the actor wants to do, or why the fuck did you hire him?
Gotcha.
No, that always, all great directors, and I've worked with maybe 3 in my entire life.
Wow.
But those 3 did the same thing. They didn't direct. That seems like weird, but that's why.
When you know Adam was like doing that, like trying to get you to do stuff you don't like, were you?
Well, that laugh. I tell you, just
the crazy Carl laugh.
I do in Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. I fought. I didn't want to do that because I used to do that in high school. That laugh, around at lunchtime around the table to make kids laugh. And I don't know how we found out about that. See, that's the weird thing. I don't know how Adam Sandler, I was, in my 20s or 30s. I don't know. How did he know about what I was doing in high school? But anyway, he said, do that laugh. And I go, no, man, that's like childish. But remember, I was in improv, and I studied with Viola Spolin and Alan Meyerson. And so in the middle of the first take of that scene, where Adam was introducing me to his girlfriend, He said, this is Carl. This is my girlfriend. Hey, Carl, in the middle of that scene, the first take, Adam said, hey, Carl, why don't you do that laugh?
Oh.
And we were talking about it at lunch, and I said I didn't want to do it. And I got really mad at Adam for, no, you got to do it. You got to do it, man. No, I don't want to do that. No. Can I, no. And so I just walked away. But in the middle of the scene, he said, hey, Carl, do that laugh. And I just switched into automatic improv. No argument, listen. And I heard, do the laugh. And I just did it. See, you don't think when you're improvising.
Yeah.
It's like playing music. You just play. So I did it. And it got a big laugh. When you see the movie, the kids in the audience laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I hated myself for falling for Adam's quick thinking in the middle of the first scene, and he wouldn't do a second take. He just, because it was his movie.
Yeah.
Move on, we got it. And he knew that if we did it again, I wouldn't do the laugh. So they had to do that. So I just, for the rest of the time doing the movie, I just stayed away from Adam. I mean, and then he would do some stupid things like you would have his girlfriends. I don't know if they were girlfriends or what, but he had a gaggle of girls who would come to the set every day. They're about 14 or 15 or 16, maybe. And they would just hang around him, Oh.
Yeah.
And he loved it. That's fine, whatever.
He's living the dream at the moment, I guess, right?
There was say that again.
He's living the dream. He was a young guy.
Living the dream, exactly. But at 4 a.m, I would get a phone call in my hotel room from one of these girls saying, "Oh, hi, Larry. Can I come up to your room?" And I would hear Adam giggling in the background. And I think, Adam could go fuck himself. Well, yeah. And I would hang up. But, I had to get up at 6 a.m. to do a scene. And he would be, playing in somebody's room. Hey, call Larry. And, tell him to, can I come up to him? So, and the next day on the set, I'd say, hey, Adam, man, why are you telling these people to call me? I mean, it was just arguing all the time on that show. But Adam Sandler now has, some award show. I just got a call saying, hey, would you allow? They want to take a cut from the movie. I bet you it's that laugh thing. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
They're going to take a cut from Billy Madison, the movie, and put it in this, hour special on Adam Sandler that the Academy is doing. So, I mean, Adam Sandler, as far as Hollywood goes, he owns it. He can get any movie he made, but I just, as you can see.
For your time with him, it just didn't go the way you liked it, for sure.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's show business. That's exactly show business. I have no reason to complain about anything.
Gotcha. A little bit of because this was technically his first push.
His first movie.
Coming
and
off.
He was doing it the way he wanted to do it.
So did you feel a little bit like, why is the new guy trying to tell me? Because I've been around a while.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
But I had an attitude problem all throughout my career. I mean, I had an attitude problem. I deal with it, but I deal with it in my way. I either shut it off when I want to, or I don't. That's dealing with it to me.
Yeah. I guess we all have our own little things, you bring, and we just got to hope and we all get together. We get the movies done and get them done right and everything. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's one of those dumb movies that make me laugh. And,
Yeah, I mean,
I like your part with that. I know you didn't want to do it, but.
Yeah, I mean, no, but that particular thing that I told you about Adam telling me what to do, I did 191 or whatever shows in those. Adam wasn't the only one. I mean, I would say that 10 to 20 of the 191 had me say, hey, can I say this? I don't want to wear this. Can I do that? I mean, that's me. They had to deal with me,
Gotcha.
and I had to deal with them. So that's show business. That's show business.
Sweet. Can I steer the direction to the great Breaking Bad?
Well, I mean, even on Breaking Bad, I had my yeses and nos, and I worship that show, and I worship all the actors and the directors and the writers and Vince Gilligan. It was perfect show.
It was.
When I got the call to audition, just to audition, I was ecstatic. I mean, man, I was a fan of the show, so to actually be on it was incredible. But then when I got on it, I'm dyslexic. I have dyslexia, so it's very hard in my dyslexia to memorize lines. I need to get the script first,
yes,
or one of the first people. No, when it's ready, I should get it. When you
need time to absorb it because you're going to memorize it. I take it, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna, improvise it. So not with Vince Gilligan, I mean, you can, but and I did improvise during Breaking Bad, but you have to have chutzpah, man. You have to have brass balls to do it. You can't just improvise because you're going to get blowback. What are you doing? And you have to defend it, or it has to be right so that they have to use it. So I did that, but I also needed times, and sometimes I would go up on my lines, and Bryan Cranston wouldn't like it. He'd say, "Hey, man, get your lines down." Whoa! I mean, hearing that from Bryan Cranston, you better get your lines down. I mean, that's what I mean, and sometimes I would have to break out of the scene and go up to the director and say, "Hey, am I doing something wrong?" And the director would say, or director did say, "Well, what are you talking about?" Say, "Well, Bryan Cranston is, telling me to remember my lines, and he's getting angry, and he won't look at me, and I don't want to cause any trouble here, so I'm just asking you, am I doing something wrong? Because I'm getting blowback from Bryan, and he's standing over there, and I'm talking to you over here."
Yeah.
So the director said, "Well, two things, Larry," and he said it to me very quietly, very endearingly. He said, "Two things, Larry. One is, all actors go up on their lines. The second thing is, we're losing the light. Fuck Cranston. Get back in there and let's do the scene, okay?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. He scared me straight. Boom. I didn't forget any lines after that.
Was that set a fine-tuned machine, though? I mean, I know all movie sets are supposed to be, but like everybody knew what this show was and what it represented, and it was flowing, right?
Yeah, but you can't have that mindset go, once you're there. You just got to do your job. I mean, the awe has got to disappear or you're fucked, man.
Yeah.
You can't have that kind of, I mean, that's the difference. I had awe acting with Bryan, and I was going up on my lines, and the director just verbally slapped the awe out of me. I said, "Fuck him, get back in there." And he hollered at me, not at Bryan. He said, "Get back in there, we're losing the light. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Whoa, okay." And he just, I got straight, and I just went back in there and did the scene. Forget about Bryan. Just, hang on. But, I mean, in another time on Breaking Bad, I totally improvised an entire monologue, and they used it. But Vince Gilligan noted it, and the next time it was when I was trying to keep the cop out of the Winnebago, when Aaron and Bryan were in there.
Yeah,
it was the junkyard. Now it was old Joe.
Yep.
And I didn't want the cop to go in there, so I had Vince had one of the writers write me a monologue for that scene, because he said, when I got it, I said, how long do I have to memorize this? It was given to me the day I had to shoot it when I arrived on the set. And it was a page long, which is impossible, man, for somebody who's got dyslexia like me. Impossible, can't be done. So I said to the AD, I said, how long do I have to memorize this? And he said, 2 hours. This scene shoots in 2 hours. It was a scene keeping the cop out of the Winnebago. I said, I can't do this. He said, well, you're going to have to. And then he just split because he saw I was getting weird. You know, hey, man, I can't do this. I don't know if I can do this. Excuse me, I got to get back to the set. Boom, and he split. So I tried to memorize it, but I couldn't. I mean, I just couldn't. I tried my damnedest because it was long. And it was an important speech. I mean, if I could master it, it would be, you know, a notch in my gun in gunslinger's terms. So I tried, I couldn't do it. And I thought, well, I'll get fired. I mean, I don't know how to deal with this. So I thought, well, I'm an improvisational actor. All of a sudden I got chutzpah. Oh, I'll improvise this, I said to myself. I can do this. I'm an improviser. I've spent 10 years improvising, which was a true fact. So I just went out there and he, okay, you're up. I go, okay, fine. And I'm walking out there and and here's the other thing. I fired myself as soon as I thought that, you know, okay, I'll improvise it. I won't tell anybody. I'll just go out there and I'll improvise it. And I'll get fired. That was my second thought. And I'll get fired. So I'm going to fire myself now in my dressing room before I go out there. So now I'm relaxed. Okay, I'm fired. Larry, you're fired. You're going to be fired. Okay, now improvise it and be relaxed. So I went out there and the director said, now I had done a scene in the morning that was really cool with just Brian. You know, short scene, great. So he was thinking, well, it's going to be another, but this is a little longer, but Larry's a good actor. So he said, how's it going, Larry? I said, fine. You ready to do this? Because he knew it was, you know, a long piece of monologue. He said, you ready to do this? I said, yeah, I'm ready to do this. He said, okay. And I said, but I know how to shoot it. And that stopped him. And he goes, what do you mean you know how to shoot this? I mean, for an actor to say that to a director, especially on Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is going on? You know how to direct this? Yeah. Okay, let's hear this. I mean, he was just really interested. Okay, Larry, let me hear how you're going to direct this scene. And I said, well, we can break it up, see? Because I'm thinking editing. I'm thinking, well, you got a shot inside, then you got a shot of the cop, then you got a shot of me, boom, boom. And in between them two, I can memorize the next piece. Well, that's not how movies are made. I didn't know my ass from my elbow. It's you shoot one long one, 2 long ones, 3 long ones, you go home and let them put them together. Okay, so he said, no, we're going to do a walk and talk, Larry. You're going to get down there, you're going to walk to the camera, and you're just going to say it in one long speech, and then you're going to go home. We're going to shoot it once. We'll put you in the car, and we'll send you back to, you know, the dressing room, because we were in the middle of a desert. So we'll send you back home. So one take, you know, you'll be gone in half an hour. How about that? And I thought, this is not, I'm going to get fired because he's not talking what I'm thinking. So I said, yeah, fine. Okay. So he tells me to get back there. He says, you ready? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. He says, okay. And action, Larry. And the camera's rolling. And I just started to improvise, man. I just said anything, any legal thing that came to mind that might in some way keep the cop out of the Winnebago. And I'm just walking and talking. And all I said to myself, I'm fired. Don't stutter. Don't keep talking. When you get to the end, say the last line, which I had remembered, and then you're fired. Just stay calm. And I started to walk and talk. Boom, and I got to the end, and he goes, great, okay, let's just do it one more time for insurance. What?
Wow.
I memorized that whole thing. He didn't blink. He didn't say nothing. He said, let's do one more thing. Now, I was totally relaxed because I thought, well, this is just insurance. I could fuck up. He's got it in the can. I did it perfectly. He didn't say a word. I said, okay, and if I fuck up, so he fires me. I don't care now. I did it. So I did it again. I improvised it again. You know, you can't improvise it exactly the same. I did the thing, and I thought, well, when I get to the end, they'll fire me now. I got to the end, and he said, okay, great. Larry's dismissed, everybody. Great job, Larry. Thank you. Put me in the limo, and I'm off. And I thought, what the fuck? So I had to wait 2 weeks to see the show, and when I saw it, this is what happened. If you know the scene that I'm talking about, I mean,
exactly. Remember that. To me, that's your scene of the whole series.
Okay, exactly. Good. Now I'm going to tell you what you saw and what you think you saw, because you didn't see that at all.
Okay.
What you saw, you didn't see. Okay, what you saw was me, and that's my scene, and it was. I had this big long speech. Okay, what you didn't see was I'm in that scene for exactly 9 seconds or less, and I timed it, and I watched it, and here's what was. I say the first line because I knew my first line, and I started to walk. So I say my first line, and they cut inside the Winnebago to Brian and Aaron, and they cut to the cops. Then they cut back inside to Brian and Aaron. So that's three shots right there. Cop, Brian, Aaron. Aaron, Brian, cop. Me, when I said something that applied to keeping him out of the thing, that worked and maybe was written. Maybe I was making it up, but it applied perfectly. Me. You know how long it takes to say one line? 2 seconds. Okay. So I'll give me 3 seconds. Okay, 3 seconds. Back to Brian, Aaron, cop. Brian, Allen, cop. Me, 3 seconds. Brian, Allen, cop. Brian, Allen, Brian, Aaron, Brian. Me, another 3 seconds. Cop, Aaron, Brian, cut out of the scene. In between that, the director had edited together my 2 improvs to come up with one perfect cop, you can't go into the Winnebago speech. You know, because I was saying good things, they just weren't what. And I asked one of the ADs, I said, who wrote this speech? Did Vince write this speech for me? And he said, no, the director wrote the speech. So in other words, man, the first time I was doing it, after I said 3 lines, he knew I was faking it. He wrote it.
Yeah.
And he let me go. And that's how cool this director was, and how together the Breaking Bad is. How sharp everybody is. The director knew that this guy doesn't know his ass from his elbow. He's making it up. I'll just have him do it again and cobble it together. Fine, no sweat. Let's keep going. So, I mean, that's show business. That also is show business. And that's how movies and stuff are made. Not the perfect thing that you see in your living room. It's man, Scrabble and I don't know, paste and baling wire and Scotch tape. It's just weird.
A lot of duct tape with films too. Yeah, just to get through the scene, you know, basically. But
so it's amazing. But that's what the book is about. That's why I wrote the book, to tell you what I did was because there's 45 there's 45 chapters, but 40 of them are of the roles that I did, and in each role, I tell you how I got the role, how I did the role, and what was going on to get that role into your living room. You know,
that's great. So for all of us that are movie and TV buffs, I mean, I'm sure everybody's gonna that gets this book will remember that every time they watch the TV show or the movie after, like, here's what was really happening and how they got
outside of the frame. This is what was going on.
I think that's a really unique plug. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's nobody's ever done that where they I'm going blah blah.
Yep.
And the shouting that was going on back and forth when I was back there doing it the second time.
Yeah,
where I'm talking to the script lady who's saying, you didn't say one word that was correct in the entire script. She's saying this to me as I'm about to do the second time, and they're saying it doesn't matter. And the director is yelling to her and me because I was about 50 feet away, or at least 100 feet away. And he's yelling, "Is anything wrong, Larry?" And I'm yelling back, "No, no, everything's fine," because he knew what we were talking about. He wrote the fucking thing.
Sweet.
He knew that we were arguing about, you got to say it like he wrote it. And I'm saying, I can't do that. I'm going to improvise it again.
Sweet.
Anyway.
All right, Laird, this is a part of the show where I call 10 rounds with my guests. This is fun. If any of these questions don't pertain, just take a pass. But comedy, film, music, and pop culture, all right? So
go for it.
Number one, who's your favorite comedian of all time?
Good one. Well, of all time?
Yes.
Well, Lenny Bruce, but Bill contemporary, Richie Pryor, Bill Burr, Joe Coy sometimes.
It could go on and on, but yeah, that's great that you picked Lenny Bruce. I could see you doing that. Cool. Question number two: where's the favorite place for you personally as a comedian? Like the best club or coffee house you like to perform at?
Whoa, the best would be oh man, it's underneath. I can't remember the name of the coffee house. It's a coffee house because I could do anything, and the audience was really great. The Cock and Bull, or across the street or around the corner. But where was that? On that block.
Where was that located?
In Greenwich Village on West 4th Street, I believe, or Carmine Street, West 4th Street, I believe. But it was on that block that there was three, and Cock and Bull was one of them.
The next one would be, what's your favorite band of all time?
Band of all time? Well, Rolling Stones, I guess.
Great choice. Your
favorite? The Beatles. I mean, hey, the Beatles are pretty good, you know.
Well, you picked the two best ones from that era. The Stones are still going. I saw them in 2019, so that's cool. It's cool. How about your favorite album of all time?
Wow, that's a hard one.
Yes.
Bitches Brew. Miles Davis.
Great choice. All right, so I will jump into acting. Who's your favorite actor of all time?
Well, I got three, and I always switch one to the other. Actor of all time. Okay, Marlon Brando, Bryan Cranston, and Robert Downey Jr.
Wow, beautiful choices. Awesome. What is your personal, not that you were in, but just your own personal favorite film of all time?
Man Bites Dog.
I'm not familiar with
it. Yeah, gotcha, didn't I?
You got me on that one.
It is my favorite. It's still out there. I saw it when I was a young man. It's black and white. It's a mockumentary, but it's not. Well, it is kind of funny. Basically, it's a documentary. A fake documentary. I guess it's not a mockumentary. It's a fake documentary. It's a documentary. It was the what do you call it when you film school graduation project? You know, it's the thesis.
Thesis. You know? Yes, that's the word.
It's a senior thesis of 3 German film students, and it was shown all around the world. You can look it up on Google, or it's on the internet. You can buy it for $19. Okay, it's a black and white fake documentary done by 3 German film students in the 60s. And it's a fake documentary of 3 students, the 3 students who made the film. They were in it, and they play the 3 students. No, they play the 2 students. The 3rd student played the main character. He was a really good actor. So those 3 students, and it's a fake documentary of 2 film students following a serial killer and making a documentary about him. So
Sweet.
these 2 film students follow this serial killer as he murders people.
And you said at the beginning, I believe this is in black and white. It's obviously an older
Black
film.
and white, and it's was the senior thesis of these 3 students, and it is brilliant.
Do you have any idea where people could see that?
Anywhere. I mean, you can just go Google it. It's called Man Bites Dog. It's famous, and it's a German. You know, these. There's a famous film company that what they do is they print and sell famous old movies. You know, things that are out of print. That's what they do.
Yeah, like the Shout Factory does stuff like that. Yeah. So,
but it should be easy to find if you just go on the internet. It's great.
Sweet, great.
Be ready for it because it's in your face, man, and it doesn't pull any punches. Right. Just be ready. That's all I'm saying.
Cool. 3 more. For you personally, which actor out there did you enjoy acting with the most in your career?
Barbara Harris, on stage in The Committee, in Second City. She was amazing. But that's on stage. Are you talking about film?
Film, but yeah. Yes.
Well, Bryan Cranston and what's his name? His Douglas, Michael Douglas, in Star Chamber. So Bryan Cranston and Michael Douglas, they were just very, very giving. All great actors are very giving, and Clint Eastwood, those 3. All 3 of them are great actors because of how giving they are. And I'll tell you the secret of a quick secret of Clint Eastwood, and maybe it's all other great actors. Clint Eastwood doesn't act. What he does is he becomes a cork on your energy and he floats on it. So he'll give you the scene. You know, you go into the scene like this, you know, equal. You're just 2 actors on the scene, except he's Clint Eastwood. And you go, blah, 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 blah. And he'll just find out where you are, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then once he finds out where you are, he just floats on your energy. So if you want to get better than him, he just floats on it. If you want to give him more energy, he just floats on it. And I was just amazed that no matter where I would go, but if I would go down, try to go under him, he would just float down like this. If I would go over him, he would just float up above it. If I would go under him, he would just float. And he would just do it automatically. It was no thinking about it. It was a natural. And I think what it is the relaxation point. None of the actors who are really great, those 3 or others, who are really good at what they do, are completely relaxed. You can't get more relaxed than them. You can't, unless you're as good as them. And the relaxation is the key. Okay.
Awesome. And I know you referenced earlier that you weren't a fan of a lot of the directors that you've ever worked with, but what was the one that you actually liked, that you really enjoyed working with?
I liked?
Yeah.
Well, John Huston. No sweat, man.
Okay.
It's just, he's incredible. He just makes you want to be great. He makes you think you are great. He sticks up for you. He's the only director who ever stuck up in the face of great odds. I've seen other directors and actors stick up for other people at great odds, but not sticking up for me. John Huston stuck up for me. And I thank you.
Marvelous. And the final question, this is away from everything that we've done. Your favorite person from history, living or deceased, that when you hear about them, you're just drawn to them. Like you love to know so much about them. Like me, like Billy the Kid, Bruce Lee, or some of the people from me. But like, who's it for you?
Michelangelo.
Okay. And that could lead into our next part. Yeah. So yeah, Michelangelo. I think that's a great choice, and actually, it was pretty funny because the last segment of the story, segment of the show, I was going to go into your artwork. So that's a good segue.
Oh well, that's what I do in my spare time. They're prints; they're not paintings. I do it on what do you call it? On
Campus.
Photoshop.
Okay.
I just do Photoshop, and then I blow them up. And so those are like actually those two are museum prints. That's the ink is museum ink, and if that would be ready to go into a museum. But and then you can go on. You can buy them any size you want. They're a lot cheaper. Those are $400 a piece. But you can get any. So you get them this big, and they're very cheap. For the website is thereallarryhankin.com. You can buy them, or you go to thereallarryhankin.com. That's my website, and you can buy the book about all we talked about and more. Look at all them pages. Look at how many pages there are, and it's all printing. It's great. You can buy that on Amazon.com. Patreon.com/Larry Hankin.
Sweet.
Okay.
And that was a great way because I was about to give you the floor to plug everything, and you've already done it. You're like flowing great here. So
improv.
Awesome, Larry. This was a fantastic interview. Thank you so much for taking.
Thank you for having me. It was. I had a great time.
Yes. I thank this audience, everybody, for taking the time to check out the show again. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Amazon, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Larry, I know you just did your plugs. Is there anything else you need to throw out there? You're not going on tour or anything?
No, just that's it. Buy the book. Buy the book. That's the important thing. Buy the book and rock on. And rock on or buy the book. But you're better off if you rock on. Okay. And buy the book. Okay.
Awesome. Well, until next week, as I always say, my final words, I thank you, Larry. I thank this audience, and I tell everybody that the party is over.